Alright, so obviously my algorithm is feeding me some very interesting stuff, some funny channels. This is Curious Ape, and the title of the video is The Kill Tony Regular Who Went Mentally Insane. And it's not Malcolm Hatchet, guys. Who could it be? I'm curious, the same way you are, just like Curious Ape. Let's see what he's got for us.
What happens when a beloved character becomes a problem?
You might see Obama get assassinated. I don't even see that shit.
When Kill Tony's first regular becomes a stalker? When things get taken way too far, all leading to the moment that changed the show forever. To really understand why things went terribly wrong with Kill Tony's first regular, we've got to go back to the very beginning. The first episode of Kill Tony, as you'd probably expect, was a complete shit show. But Tony knew that it could be so much more than just pulling names from a bucket. And his first ever experiment would happen on episode 2 when he introduced Kill Tony's first ever regular.
The Iron Patriot, everybody.
Now, the Iron Patriot's role wasn't like the regulars today. He wouldn't come on stage and do a minute. Instead, he'd just stay on stage the entire time and try his best to say funny shit. And to Tony's surprise, it was actually working like a charm.
Alright, so once again, Tony had to invite other people onto the stage to be funny. Because he himself is not the funny part of Kill Tony. Can we finally accept this? On top of the fact that there's a soundboard, Brian Redband is another comedian that's always there. He has a panel of guests that are other comedians. He had a band for the longest time that was fellow comedians that played instruments, okay? He literally got rid of them because he was being out-funnied, dude. But it all goes back to Kill Tony number 4, number 2, the very beginnings, folks, where you got Tony bringing on other people that have to be funny, whether they're dressed up in a crazy costume like the band used to, or a guy dressing like Jesus, or wearing an Iron Man suit, okay? Either way, Tony knew that he had to find some other people to be reliable in the comedy sector of this show, this podcast, right? Because all Tony does is say the same fucking 8 things every single episode. From Kill Tony number 1 till Kill Tony at Madison Square Garden, it's the same thing. The same introduction, the same, in-between shit, the same roast. I mean, how many times has this guy said that you look like the kidnapper and the child that he kidnaps? Or he'll say, how come you look 22 and 71 at the same time? Like, you see what I'm saying? It's very predictable.
Yeah.
I like
Supersonic sex machine.
Everyone loved the Iron Patriot, and nobody saw his potential more than Tony. The catchphrases, the improv, the absurdity of having a dude in an Iron Man suit on stage. It's exactly what he was looking for. But pretty quickly, the regular role started to get to the Patriot's head. It wasn't noticeable unless you paid close attention, but he was.
Well, let's think about this. Much like the Iron Patriot here, there was a guy named Pat Regan who was sort of the first musician that they put together to be on mic as well as playing music to introduce the comedians. And he was crushing Tony. Almost every episode he made this guy look so bad, to the point that they bring on other musicians that were friends with Pat, and they start also destroying Tony, dressing up as characters such as the Iron Patriot, right? And then leaning heavily into those characters, saying funnier stuff to the comedians that perform, while also not being super rude, being funny. Tony is just an asshole most of the time. An egomaniac, for sure.
He was slowly trying to take over the show. It started with simple shit like talking a little bit more, and then he'd start singing every episode, stepping on Tony's jokes and going on strange philosophical rants. At first, it all seemed like an elaborate bit, but there was something far stranger and darker taking place, and the Patriot was about to slip up in a way that he'd never recover from.
I really want to talk with Joe Rogan about philosophy, but
Is that what you're using us for? I know who you are, man. You're some guy in a suit.
people have been saying they want to hear me talk more on a podcast. Maybe I just...
Well, yeah, from working with me.
As strange as this moment was, Tony gave him the benefit of the doubt.
I think back then we can all be honest and say that Red Band probably had a better in with Joe Rogan. Okay? Joe Rogan was probably weirded out by Tony back then. He had to be. Like everybody was.
doubt. But the relationship between them would never be the same. There was something off about the Iron Patriot, and Tony knew it. Now, fortunately for the Patriot, Redban really liked him. And at this time in the show, Redban had a lot more say. But as the weeks passed, the tension between the Patriot and Tony...
Hey, let's not skip over that line that Curious Ape just said. Back then, Redban had a lot more control of the show than simply Tony did. Everybody gives Tony the credit for doing the show, but I believe Redban came up with the idea. Okay, without Redban, Tony doesn't even know how to get the show started.
really started to grow.
You threw me off because I didn't get to do my song. I was planning to do my song this week, but
Right, so
Because,
four more
Russell Peters here.
four more minutes of unbearable bullshit
no, you were
that I
right.
said we have to save until next week.
No.
But their problems were about to get a lot worse because the Patriot thought that he was the show. And the star of the show sure as hell doesn't get treated like that. In the Patriot's mind, he deserved way more than a few thousand followers. He deserved sponsorships, podcasts, and his resentment was starting to become a little bit too obvious.
All right, now that is crazy. That's wild. But again, everybody that's been on Kill Tony, I mean, Jesse Johnson, who was on here on Kill Tony sometimes playing the trumpet, now has a show with 20,000 viewers and shit like that. Jeremiah Watkins was doing shit. Joelberg was doing shit. Everybody did have I don't want to say that it was strictly because of Kill Tony, but it's like this guy could have just took it into his own hands, especially back then. You could have been like, yeah, I got a sponsorship from fucking Manscaped. Why not? He wears Manscaped over the suit while he's standing there, whatever, right? There couldn't have been that much money between the three of them as it is, but why not just do it himself? Start his own podcast. What was so hard about that back then? It seemed like this gatekeeping thing was happening to many of the LA podcasters as well as comedians in general.
Obvious.
Well, I'll tell you, all these bitches in LA want to get famous. That's all they care about. I'm one of those bitches too. I want to get famous.
As the tension grew, the Patriot became stranger and stranger. His philosophical rants about the universe that used to be loved by everybody now started sounding a little schizophrenic. And his bits about fetishes and bestiality were starting to become really creepy. It wasn't just Tony and Redban that were catching on to this. Even the guests knew that something was up. This was starting to feel a little bit less like a bit and more like a glimpse into who he really was. But just as everyone was starting to get suspicious, the Patriot did something that caught everybody off guard.
He was basically saying that he didn't want to work with you or the Death Squad network anymore. Patriots always hinted at wanting to jump ship. I guess I always truly deep inside thought it was a joke, but...
Now this is where most stories end, but this one is just beginning.
But who is he? That's what I want to know. That's why we're doing this, man. Who was this guy? And then I have to wonder, does this end with him figuring out where this guy is now? Has he made his way back to the show? Is there still resentment? That's the thing I'm curious about, because if you've been keeping up with the show for any amount of time, you see these guys. There's many guys that even at the mothership that have been on the show 5-6 times. You're like, man, is nothing still happening for you? All the times you keep signing up and getting on here, the needle's not moving?
Right after quitting the show, Kill Tony exploded. Bigger guest, more views. The show was entering its first golden age, but the Iron Patriot was rapidly deteriorating. At first, the only signs of this were his negative tweets about the show, which I guess is understandable since he just quit the podcast right before it blew up. But then he started messaging Tony day and night. DMs turned into letters, and letters turned into strange cryptic threats.
Yikes.
It finally clicked in Tony's head. Oh, this guy is actually insane. For more than a year, the Patriot would manically message them until he became so irrational that he decided he needed to do something about it.
Oh my god, what are you doing? Whoa, what the fuck is that? You gotta get him out of here. That's the former Iron Patriot, Jeff Crabtree, and he just stormed the stage.
At this point, you'd think this would be the end of the Iron Patriot.
Well, there you have it. Jeff Crabtree. And Tony really takes that guy as a threat. You like the way that he just simply backed away when this guy ran up? He didn't put his hands up. There's no boxing technique that he thinks he has, right? He's so proud of this. Oh, I can kick so much higher than this guy. I actually have a bunch boxing combinations and shit like that. And it's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Look at the way that you tried to defend yourself when this creepy man comes running out of the crowd. You backed away hoping Red Band was going to help you. You didn't put your hands up. You didn't stand there in any form like you were going to hit him. What the fuck happens here? Let's watch this again.
Decided he needed to do something about it.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, what are you
Terrified.
doing? Whoa.
Terrified. Terrified. Arms down, neck arched backwards. Terrified. That's not a guy who's ever trained hitting pads or anything like that. Okay? This isn't a tough guy from the streets, right? This is wild. He was not even a threat. The guy waved at the camera and then taken off. You gotta get him out of here.
What is that? You gotta get him out of here. That's the former Iron Patriot, Jeff Crabtree, and he just stormed the stage.
At this
Well, there you have it. The guy's obviously went insane. He just wanted to be recognized more than he was, is what I feel. All right? I don't know what's happened to the man here. Lately, I'll watch this on my own time, but you guys should do the same thing. Finish this. Go subscribe to Curious Ape. Hit the like, hit the subscribe here as well. And we'll see you in the next one.